So I am Nitin Arora. I grew up in a small city of Haryana. I was born to parents who were both academicians in a typical middle class household with very, very modest resources. If I have to talk about a story, in my 10th grade, my grandfather, he was very generous. He thought, my grandson should do well in his board exams. He used to give me 10 rupees every day to have a glass of juice. Little did he know that I was accumulating those 300 rupees to buy a book, that I would, end up reading, because I was very, very fond of academics. Given my parents, of course, were both academicians, as well as, one of my maternal uncles who broke barriers through, again, pursuing academic excellence while still being grounded. So it feels great, honestly, to be talking about, boundaries, challenging limits, creating impact. What are these boundaries? Are these self-imposed limiting beliefs that we have in our own mind? Or is it really the societal norms which we are not willing to push? Or are these driven by the fear of failure that somewhere resides between each of us? Each of us is a human, after all, aren't we? So let's talk about how can we challenge limits? How can we create an impact? As Professor Gaur mentioned, challenging limits, creating impact is not just a phrase, it's a mindset. To my mind, it's a call to action. It's a call to action to change it's a call to action to change the stereotypes that we've all grown up with, to break the limiting beliefs that we've all grown up with. As I said, I was very fond of academics. When I got admitted to IIIT Allahabad, which was one of the prestigious IT colleges, I felt sick during my 5th semester, terribly sick, that I had to miss some of the exams. And while I had been a consistent kind of topper, and I ultimately ended up securing the gold medal for the academic excellence, but that's not what I really want to intend or boast about. What I really want to share is when I felt sick, it was a very, very humbling experience. It made me realize that life was so much beyond academics. Life was about, creating an impact. Life was about, to be lived. We unfortunately do not know when the life would end. The life does not come with an expiry date. So irrespective of whatever time we have on this planet, we need to make the most of it, defy boundaries, try and do something which kind of creates an impact. And that impact gets created when we are being kind, when we are humble, when we matter for a lot more beyond any of the fancy corporate titles or designations that any of us hold today. That is what I'm really going to speak about. Given that I'm a banker for more than 2 decades, and just to let you know, in case any of you is still interested in pursuing banking as a career, it used to be far more lucrative when I joined, not so anymore probably. It's the startup world, it's the AI world. But still, for those of you, let me tell you, we love acronyms. We totally love acronyms. You can't be a banker without these acronyms. Just a quick check of hands. Any of you who can recognize most of these acronyms? I don't expect you to recognize all of them. Great. You guys have a future in banking, maybe, but not necessarily. Don't pursue it. Okay, so, but by virtue of these acronyms, I'm not here to give you a crash course on banking. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with some of these acronyms, but I'm just trying to set the context by using banking as an acronym itself. How banking has defined the essence of life for me. And these are some of the adjectives that I want you to think about, irrespective of the career that you choose, irrespective of the path that you take. You go on to become, a corporate leader, or you have the courage to really start something of your own. But these concepts, these adjectives are always going to come in handy. Being bold. Being bold is being courageous. And I have some of my fellow friends here who have had the courage, and I always respect the entrepreneurs who have had the courage to really dive into entrepreneurship, because it's a lot more challenging than what really seems to be. You got to have the right attitude. Attitude defines you. If you have the right attitude, you will be able to scale mountains. You got to be nimble. We live in a constantly changing, dynamic world, something which changes every day. Today which side probably did someone in the world get up, decides how the day is going to be, how the markets are going to behave, how the finances are going to look like, how each one of us as an individual. COVID came from nowhere. It changed our lives forever, right? So we have to adapt, we have to be nimble. At the same time, let's not forget to be kind. We have to be kind. There has to be empathy, which all of us has to carry. We have to value the perspectives that each one of us bring and think sometimes from what the others want to do. Innovation, constantly disruptive word. Innovation defines whether you want to survive and thrive in this world. If I have to talk about one banking thing which has disrupted, innovated, it is UPI. UPI is Unified Payments Interface, real-time payments. You'll be amazed to know that today, it accounts for almost 83% of the overall banking system payments which happen in India. It's become a case study for some of the developed economies, for them to replicate how can it work so well. It scaled almost 17 billion transactions every month. That's the magnitude. That's how it got disrupted. And today, that's how we operate. Network. What is network and why is it important? Network is all of us. It's so important as we progress into our careers, into our lives. It's so important to build a resourceful network, a network which encourages you to succeed, which encourages you to thrive, which encourages you to really challenge the limits, create an impact, break those barriers that we are here talking about. At the same time, gratitude. Gratitude keeps us humble. Gratitude is something which makes us mindful, keeps us going, helps with boosting our physical and mental health, which is also important. Again, drawing a parallel, between banking and life. We all here are MBA graduates. Balance sheet is so important, whether you're an entrepreneur, more so for entrepreneurs, or if you're working for a company, you want to assess what kind of a company you want to work for. Assets and liabilities, we all know, are two sides, of the balance sheet. But what differentiates them is net worth. As a corporate banker, what do I look at? I look at companies which have strong balance sheet, which has a continuously enhancing net worth, so that I can, as a bank, lend to them, right? I will not want probably to lend to a company where I see that the net worth is depleting. Similarly, I want you guys to think about, as you think about breaking barriers, what are your assets, what are your liabilities, what defines you as a personal brand, because that is what is going to really matter in the end. It's not going to matter where did you end up retiring from or what sort of venture did you build, but what really defined you as a person. Integrity, your trust, the credibility, the passion, the zeal, the enthusiasm that you brought, the attitude, all of those are your assets. You need to guard against some of the liabilities, which is getting overconfident when succeeding, getting arrogant, getting egoistic, getting complacent and not working hard enough. Life is about continuous change, and it needs to happen every day. And that is what is going to define your net worth and your personal brand. So how do we deal with the personal brand? How do we build the personal brand, enhance our net worth? Again, I would recommend to bank wisely. When you bank wisely, you act with wisdom, which helps you get a sound judgment. You deal with integrity, regardless of what success you may end up achieving in the short term. You should never compromise with integrity, because that is what you really stand for. That is the ethical way to deal. Spirituality, something I profoundly believe in. I'm not encouraging everyone to be spiritual, but I definitely believe this is something which again is so important in today's world. I wish spirituality could be taught as a topic, as a concept during schools, because this is one which ultimately makes you look beyond yourself, makes you keep your mental health in place, makes you keep grounded. Empower, very critical aspect. We need to empower. As we get into a position where we have been empowered, we need to look at what is the impact we are trying to create on people we interact with. How are we empowering others to really bring about that change, that impact? Leadership and empowerment kind of go hand in hand. You have to identify. Leadership gives the vision, drives you towards the mission statement that each one of you have set for yourself, and helps you going. So an effective leadership goes a long way in breaking barriers, changing an impact. And yearn to learn. Learning never stops. Each one of us, even me here today, I passed out from here 20 years back, but I'm still a student. I still think of myself as a student. Learning happens every day, and it is not that a more experienced person can learn from the less experienced, and old can learn from the young. No, we all learn from each other. I learn so much from my 11-year-old daughter that I can't tell you. She challenges notions, she challenges beliefs, and that's what keeps me going. I learn so much from some of the young Gen Zs, who we hire, who come into the workplace. So honestly, never ever stop to learn. And the overarching themes, when you bank wisely, are 4 Ps. Not the 4 Ps of marketing that I'm talking about. Sorry for the marketing students here. Not the product, place, price, promotion, but some things which matter. I spoke about people and the network. People are the ones who are your support system. They're the ones who provide you the resources. Passion is what you bring to the table. Passion is what will define you. Passion is what will take you places. Purpose is what is it that you're chasing. Not everyone is chasing the same thing. Someone wants to be CEO and someone wants to be happy on the Himalayas. Both are okay. There is no one right way to be happy or say that one is more successful than the other. Each one has their own definition of success, and that is what we need to really chase. But perseverance is something, irrespective of what purpose, what goals, what vision are you chasing, will come in handy. A lot of leaders, who we today respect, who are every household name, they have had the courage to deal with the challenges or adversities which the life has thrown at them. Perseverance is what makes you resilient, and resilience is something which is a very, very important trait to have to create an indelible mark on this world and to really leave an everlasting impact. And what all of this does is fundamentals, the core. You got to be customer centric, and when I say customer, it is not the organization's customers or your customers that you work for. Customer is every stakeholder you interact with. You are my customers today. Probably I am your customer today. Family members are your customers. Your peers, your colleagues, your friends, everyone. Think of them like a customer, like a relationship you want to nurture, because that will come in handy and that is what will create that impact. You got to become trustworthy and dependable. People can trust you with the deliverables. People can rely on you. That is the personal brand. That is how we enhance our personal brand. All that I spoke about, I just want to narrate one story each for some of these renowned people who have profoundly kind of impacted the way I think about life, the way I think about work, the way I think about my day when I get up every day, something which keeps me going. The legendary Mr. Ratan Tata, one of the revolutionary industrialists, powerhouses that we have had, but more importantly, he was a much bigger philanthropist than he was an industrialist. A couple of incidents, encompassing all that I've said so far. I'm not sure if how many of you may have known this story, but once Mr. Ratan Tata was going in his car with some of the senior managers, and his car got a flat tire. While the managers were wanting and waiting for the driver to fix the tire, Mr. Tata was suddenly found missing, only to later be realized that he was helping the driver fix the tire. That's humility. Another incident, when Tata Indica, a car which failed in 1998-99, he wanted to sell his passenger car business. He went to Ford to find a buyer, and he was insulted. He was humiliated, saying that, why did you even start the business when you don't know how to run the business? Only 10 years later, he bought, during Ford's bankruptcy times, he bought JLR, from Ford in 2008. That is what speaks about resilience. That is what speaks about what a man he was. MS Dhoni needs no introduction for all the cricket fans or even otherwise. Captain Cool, Captain Calm, how he put his disappointment of not getting selected in under-19 cricket team behind to come back and be one of the captains who got us that coveted ICC trophy, not just one, multiple of them. And it was only last year, after a long wait, that we were able to lift the T20 World Cup, but otherwise it was a long wait. Whenever Dhoni was the captain, we believed that we'll go out there and we'll win it. And you could not see him stressed despite the pressure situations that he was always under. BK sister Shivani, I'm not sure again how many of you have read or heard about her. She is one of the renowned spiritual leaders associated with Brahma Kumaris, which is a spiritual organization. I listen to her a lot. I've been privileged to meet her as well in person. All of us understand Hindi here? Anyone who is not comfortable with Hindi? There is one story I want to narrate which resonates with me and which is my guiding principle. So she says that एक बार एक जंगल में आग लग गई, और जब आग लगी तो सब जानवर इधर उधर भागने गए, सब लोग भागने लगे. एक चिड़िया पास के तालाब से एक एक बूंद पानी लाती और आग को बुझाने की कोशिश करती. वो पेड़ की डाल पर बैठी, सब उसे बोल रहे हैं, क्या तुम पागल हो गई हो? क्या तुम्हारे एक बूंद पानी से ये आग बुझने वाली है? अपनी जान बचाओ और भागो. तो चिड़िया ने जवाब जो दिया वो बहुत ही सुनने लायक था और एक सीख है जीवन के लिए, मेरे जीवन की सीख है, मैं आपके साथ बांटना चाहूँगा। चिड़िया ने बोला, जब इस जंगल की आग का इतिहास लिखा जाएगा तो 3 तरह के लोगों का वर्णन होगा। एक वो जिन्होंने आग लगाई, दूसरे वो जिन्होंने आग को लगते हुए देखा, जलते हुए देखा पर उसे बुझाने की कोशिश नहीं की, और तीसरे वो जिन्होंने उस आग को बुझाने का सार्थक प्रयास किया। अब तो आग बुझे या ना बुझे, पर मैं चाहती हूं कि मेरा नाम उन लोगों में आए जिसने आग बुझाने की कोशिश की। सो दैट इज व्हाट इज क्रिएटिंग इम्पैक्ट ऑल अबाउट। दैट इज व्हाट वी नीड टू डिसाइड, वेयर डू वी वांट टू बी, वेदर वी वांट टू बी इन द मिडल ऑफ अ फायर एंड रियली ब्रिंग अबाउट दैट इम्पैक्ट, और वेदर वी वांट टू जस्ट सी अदर पीपल ब्रेकिंग बैरियर्स एंड क्रिएटिंग इम्पैक्ट। एंड दैट इज द बिगेस्ट लर्निंग आई थिंक वी कैन हैव फ्रॉम दिस स्टोरी। Amitabh Shah, again, I'm not sure how many of you know him. I've been associated with a couple of NGOs as well outside of my work. He is the co-founder for Yuva Unstoppables, an organization, an NGO which runs and works for basic sanitation education for government schools. He is a Yale graduate, got an investment banking offer on the Wall Street, but came back to start working on the streets of India. He has won so many awards. He has more than 200,000 volunteers working to make a meaningful impact to how our underprivileged kids get access to sanitation, to education, so much so making toilets for some of the government schools so that the girls can have a better hygiene. So he's the one who is creating impact, and very, very inspirational. I would like to now sum up, and I am a big believer, a great fan of Bhagavad Gita. This is a shlok which I thought resonates best with today's theme, today's mindset, today's call for action. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan ma karmafal hetu bhur ma te sangostva karmani. It means, and this is the piece of wisdom which Lord Krishna imparted to Arjuna. Most of us would have read or seen Mahabharata. This is something, and Bhagavad Gita has life lessons, beyond war, beyond fight and battles. It says that you have the right to act, but you do not have the entitlement to the actions or to the outcomes that result from your actions. So much so that you should be attached to inaction, or rather be detached from the outcomes. This is how we can end up creating an impact. When we make a meaningful effort, the impact will follow. May not happen immediately, but it will follow. Last but not the least, I will again just end with 2 small narratives and stories which again resonate. Challenging limits, creating impact. The power of tiny gains. It's the power of compounding that you probably would have heard about in some of the other sessions as well earlier today. It says 1% improvement rule. If you decide to improve yourself, not by much, just 1% every day, you will end up improving yourself by 37.8% at the end of the year. You compound that to 2 years, 3 years, you will be 14 times or 500 times better than what you are today. And on the contrary, you're worse off by just 1% every succeeding day. You will be close to zero at the end of the year. That is something that I want you to think. Continuous improvements, small actions, consistency, that will create the impact, that will break the barriers. And the last, creating impact, the starfish story. How many of us have heard the starfish story or remember it? Okay, it's one of my favorite stories, and one of my favorite stories for my daughter as well. So it goes like this. Once there was a storm in the ocean. It happened in the evening. The next day morning, there were thousands of starfish lying by the beach. So there was an old man walking on the beach, and he saw a young girl dancing, from far. And he wondered as to what is a girl doing early in the morning post a stormy evening. And as he approached to ask her, he saw the girl was actually not dancing. She was bending down every minute, trying to pick up a starfish and put it back in the sea or the ocean. The old man was amused, and he asked the young girl, he said, what are you trying to do? The beach is like 100 miles and there are thousands and thousands of starfish. How are you possibly going to create any impact? Can you? It possibly can't be done. The girl smiled, looked at the man, bent down, picked up the next starfish, put it back in the ocean, and said, I just made a difference to that one. So that is the thought I want to leave you with, that every action, no matter how small, will make a difference. So the future leaders of tomorrow, the world is beckoning for you. please think about the limits, the beliefs which challenge you. I'm sure each one of you is going to go out there, create an impact in your own way, which is going to be unprecedented. So it's an honor once again to have you listen to me patiently. Thank you so much for hearing my perspectives. Thank you very much.